So I think what's really interesting is that the campaign story in Diablo 4 really didn't ramp up until the end of Act 4 when we introduced Mashif and Elias and all these different things. And so it it really is difficult to connect the other stories if we don't have more characters that connect from the previous stories. So Mashif is this old crazy man, which is, and it is pretty endearing. But at least we got to see him in this series, which was pretty cool. Sadly, he was done dirty. He didn't really get a good send off except for dying. But that is with any story. Eventually, characters do get get dead. I'm not into the shock and awe, self destruction, unliving. And I feel like it's just so unnecessary to do this kind of shock and awe kind of telling in stories. This is why I don't really watch a lot of horror films, especially when they're like all about the blood and guts and gore. And it's just appalling to me. And so it's not something I usually like to go out and seek. And so if I had to realize that this was in the storytelling, I probably would not have played the campaign and just skipped it altogether personally. Even though, Diablo in general has a lot of dark themes, a lot of people getting ganked, a lot of people dying, ritual sacrifice and things like that. I get it's part of the lore. There was just a lot of really shocking moments, but just could have been implied, could have panned and cut away. Like they didn't have to show it. They didn't feel like they needed to, and I didn't really feel like they needed to. Where are mercenaries? There's no followers. There's no mercenaries. I don't know if that's going to get implemented another time or if that's going to get opened up as I progress through here. I forgot to hit play on my video. It is very possible that that'll happen in the future. I just don't feel like I've seen it just yet, so it's possible that it'll happen later on in a different time. I'm just kind of bummed that they didn't really implement that and it didn't happen earlier. Kind of like, the horses. How come that wasn't implemented earlier? I feel like end of Act 4 was really long before I got my mount. I feel like maybe as a reward to finishing Act 2 would probably be a good place to open that up to players. I feel like it was kind of long. All the monsters look and feel the same, not enough variety. I feel like there's not enough variety of monsters. Now I can understand like reskinning or adding, a couple of elements and change the colors to kind of make it feel like it's a variety, but it's not. This is just something that is kind of, I wouldn't say difficult to do, but I know it's just a lot of extra work to add in a lot more variety to make it feel like there's different monster varieties. I feel like Last Epoch did a really good job with this, and they even themed different areas differently. So if it was an ice area, a lot of the monsters would do more ice attacks and ice abilities. If it was a void, it would be more void and void abilities. And these monsters, the way that they kind of set it up made it feel like when you went into those areas, oh, I know this is a void area. I know these are void monsters. I don't feel like they did a very good job with that in Diablo 4. I feel like they could have done a lot better with those varieties, especially how much time and effort that's been going into this game, that it's been released for a year. And I still don't feel like there's a lot of variety when it comes to the campaign. Now, however, once we've moved past that, I feel like it does get a little better. I feel like it could be better overall. But I feel like in the leveling process, it would be a lot better to have more variety as you're going through the campaign. Hell Tides, now that I've gotten through the end of the campaign and we're kind of moving on into the quote-unquote mid to late game here in the end game content, Hell Tides have been very interesting. It's definitely different than anything I've experienced. However, Hell Tides is just basically Diablo 2's version of terrorized zones. So the zones rotate every hour, just like terrorized zones. In those zones, you have different objectives. except for this isn't in Diablo 2 Resurrection. Sadly, it'd be really cool if they did. But with these Hell Tides, they have different secondary side quests and different objectives that you can do while within it. And apparently, as you collect these cinder items, you can use that to open up different chests and get different rewards and stuff like that, which is actually really cool and interesting. Sadly, I didn't realize that that's what that was for, and it's only during the time of that one Hell Tide. And once you complete that Hell Tide and the time has run out, you'll lose all your cinders, and you have to start again in the next Hell Tide and earn those and pay those into the different chests and stuff. So I didn't really learn that until just this past playthrough, so that's something to remember as you are playing Diablo 4. I also feel like the density is much better when it comes to the Hell Tides. The groups are much closer. The density and how many mobs are in those groups are much higher, so definitely be aware that you want to stick to the world tier that's good for your gear and try not to push too hard because you will die very often. I pushed it to World Tier 2. I probably could wait till I got a few more pieces of gear. But I haven't died a whole lot. I think I died like maybe less than a handful of times in the last 2 hours. So it's not as bad. I'm just glad that there was like a death indicator so you know where you left off and you could go back to where you were and kind of continue forward. So that's actually pretty cool. The XP is really good, which I was really excited about. I think I'm almost to level 50. I think I'm like 45 or 46, something like that. So I'm on my way to being halfway through the level of level 100. I don't know when the other aspects get opened up to me. I think it looks like Nightmare Dungeons, as far as I understand, you have to farm something and then you have to, proceed to World Tier 3 or 4 in order to open those. I believe I'll have to dig a little bit deeper to kind of like learn a little bit more about that. So I'll have to do a little bit more Googling. So there is that. The other thing that I like about the Hell Tides, not only is it high density, it's action packed. It's like constant nonstop. You'll also get hell worms, which spew out different minions from hell, and you'll have to defeat those guys as well right after each other. So it just is constant and it's continual, and it's really fun and interesting. So yeah, definitely do those are super fun. The side quests and additional that are occurring during the Hell Tides are exciting. They give a lot of variety, so it's not boring. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I've found from these Hell Tides is that they're not boring. They're exciting. They're fun. It seems like it's a good experience. I think there's probably other ways and other things that you can do to get other experience that's probably better, and I'm going to hopefully learn that here in not too distant future. I'm excited to try the Nightmare Dungeons, the quote-unquote rifts of Diablo 4. I can't remember what they called them to try to make them sound different than Diablo 3, but it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out, to see if it's good, if it's better, if it's worse. I'm definitely doing a lot of comparison and contrasting between Diablo 3, Last Epoch, just to kind of give an understanding from previous to today, as well as games that are kind of released around the same time of each other that I've experienced, and really enjoyed the two different games. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I do live stream between Friday and Saturday. Start times will vary, so definitely make sure that you are subscribed. You have your notifications turned on. I will release a 20-second clip to remind people, because sadly subscriptions doesn't really matter on YouTube for whatever reason. I am on all of the social media and streaming applications, so definitely like and subscribe on all of those. It definitely helps against the battle of the algorithms. I love you all very much. From my family to yours, good night.